Hello everyone, this is Calvin Russell, CEO and founder of 850 Club Credit Consultation. Hope you all are doing well today. Today we're going to talk about major news in the credit scoring world. For those who don't know, 90% of lenders use FICO, that's FICO, and they have been doing so since actually the mid to late 1980s, okay? But let's just jump straight into it. If you haven't heard the news, which just came out today, FICO is now finalizing the final touches of the new scoring platform. Of course, the FICO 9 did not get picked up as, of course, like they thought it was going to. There have been other versions that have also been talked about, and of course making some small tweaks to certain things as well too. But this is one that they're probably going to end up releasing just because the amount of financial publications that's talking about it, and that's now the Ultra FICO score. Okay, sounds crazy, right? Well, here's the deal. The average FICO score has now gone up to 704. I'm not sure what scores they're looking at, but that's what FICO says, and whatever FICO says, that's what the world now says, right? Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people with great credit scores, but there's also a lot of people, that just do not meet qualifications. So I don't know if they're kind of categorizing that by homeowners or by a certain age range or whatever, but I don't think that that's a fair, accurate statement. But again, who am I, right? Either way, they're starting to notice that, of course, a lot of millennials, a lot of people are not just millennials, everybody's, honestly. The reason why I pointed out millennials is because, there's so much information that's out there versus when you start getting to the older categories, of people, of course, they have slightly better credit scores. But for those who are in those upper age brackets, the upper 50s, upper 40s, whatever the bracket is, there's nothing wrong with being there. The problem is that if the scores are lower, what they're saying is that consumers are now starting to look out for more information, just like you're watching this video now on YouTube. So they're saying that the information is out there more. People are more cautious about their credit scores and things of that sort, as you should be, right? But on the flip side, you also have the credit repair side of it. You also have the authorized user side of it. What does that mean? That means that people may be a higher score, but are they really that high? When we've talked about this, where let's say, for example, a person buys a few trade lines, right? Now on paper, they look good. And now, of course, banks are confused as to if they should lend this person some money. And of course, because they know about authorized users, that's been out for years. They also know about a little bit about credit repair and getting items removed and things of that sort. So now they feel like, well, this person looks good on paper, but can this person, are they really ready for home ownership? Are they really ready for this high limit credit card? Are they really ready for this personal line of credit? And that plays a role. So with the Ultra FICO score, this is one of the biggest things that I've ever seen, because this is the first time that they're calculating something inside the score where it's not borrowed money. Now, of course, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention. There have been other non-traditional ways to build credit, whether it's with a certificate of deposits. A lot of companies out there now, a lot of rent reporting companies that's out there now, but this is something you can't buy your way into. And what is it? It's looking at your checking account. Yes, I have to triple check myself. Here's the deal. They're going to be looking at not just your what they call your maintaining of a certain balance, and what FICO is saying, and of course this is, you guys can Google it, of course, once you're done. Hopefully my video pops up, right? But what they're doing is they're going to be looking at not just your average maintained balance. So for example, if you swipe out your card and you always take your checking account down to zero, that will affect your FICO credit score. It's unbelievable, right? I know so if you're check to check, that's going to play a major role in your credit score, because that essentially plays a role in borrowing. Now, your bills may be paid on time, but you may not be prepared for an emergency. Now, as far as I know, they're not considering savings accounts. They're looking at checking accounts. Why? Because they're also looking at a number 2 factor, and that's going to be overdrawn accounts. Okay, so here's the catch. They're going to go back 90 days, and they're going to look at every single night. Everything's going to go into a 90-day window, okay? And out of these 90-day windows, they're going to be looking at how many overdrafts you've had. And of course, once you have an overdraft, you better believe your score is going to drop. Here's the crazy part. When this score comes out at the beginning of 2019, a lot of major lenders will have this score as a test run. This isn't like the FICO HD that was supposed to come out last year summertime. Then it was supposed to come out the beginning of this year, where the FICO XD, they were trying to put in cell phone payments and utility bills and things of that sort. But if you go back to the last 10 or 15 years, a lot of millennials haven't moved out yet, but they're in their mid-20s. Some are now starting to go into their 30s, and they're still living with, they may not have utilities in their name. Let's just say that. Whether they're living with family, friends, whatever, so you really can't track that. A lot of cell phone bills are on family plans, so you really can't track that. So I think that's what kind of helped that process up. But what is something everybody has? A checking account. Now, you'll probably say, well, Calvin, what if I don't have a checking account? Well, I mean, I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know if they're going to check systems. I don't know if they're going to, look at, I think the biggest thing for them is looking at your 90-day average. Your 90-day average going into what type of balance you normally carry with your checking account. I don't know if business checking accounts are going to play a role into that. So again, a lot of these things are just starting to roll out. But here's the short end of it. Number one, you're going to want to keep money in your checking account. And based on the research that I've done, you want to keep it around at least $400. Now, I know some of you guys are like, Calvin, that's going to be difficult, especially around, don't worry about it. I know we're getting the holiday season and all that jazz. This is not coming out until the beginning of 2019. Just because FICO rolls out a new scoring platform doesn't mean that everyone's going to have it right away. But the way that they push this soon, FICO XD was not promoted like this. I'm just being honest with you guys. So they've already, because this is something that they don't have to necessarily get access to. Banks have always had, the same banks that give out the money are the same banks that you already have checking accounts with. So the information's already there. Versus getting the information from T-Mobile, they're not used to giving that information out, or going to your gas company or your electric company or whatever. That's difficult for them to give that information up because they don't have that department doesn't exist. But in this type of case, this is basic information, and they're only trusting one. They're going to be trusting one credit bureau with all of this information. You already know who it is. It's Experian. Okay. So of course, Experian is not perfect, but Experian was, you got to look at, I don't know if you guys study these credit bureaus. I'm going to do a video on who the credit bureaus were before they are who they are now. Most of these credit bureaus, they had one job and one job only, and that was to collect data. And that was for insurance companies, the yellow pages, and of course Equifax got started like that too. So I'll do a video on that a little bit later. But either way, they're trusting Experian with this. Now, if you don't know, I don't know if you guys do know, of course, on the credit repair side, consultation side, and we see it all the time, whereas, if you dispute something with Experian, I think you have about 2 or 3 times before, they say, listen, we're not going to dispute this anymore unless you send us new documentation. They're the only bureau that does that. They're probably one of the most difficult credit bureaus to deal with, in my personal opinion. Okay, and the reason why I say that is because they're very strict. I mean, as they should be. But things have to be accurate. A lot of times we know things are accurate. We just try to get stuff removed anyway, right? Let's be honest. But at the same time, they're trusting this particular company to fund this data that's going to come from the banks and the checking accounts to play a role in your score. So what does that mean for you? When this score rolls out, if you're not ready, if that 90-day window is not prepared, your score may actually drop. You heard that right. So if you're a 730, a 740, a 690, and you got there by throwing jello on the wall, hey, let me get 3 trade lines, hey, let me just hire a credit repair company and not pay any of these people, I'm telling you, that's going to play a role, because that's something we know for a fact the ride is only going to last so long. And that's why here at 850 Club, we're on top of this. We want to make sure that we got the right information for our clients. As you guys know, there's a lot of companies that just sit on their behind and just write letters. We're not like that. We want you to know these types of things so you're prepared. You have to be prepared. But I'm telling you, they said this is rolling out early 2019. Now, they've also promoted FICO 9 back in the day, but this is a little bit different because there's less people in the equation. But again, you guys heard it here first. I'm gonna drop this video as soon as I can make the couple edits and all the rest of that stuff. And as I get more information, of course, you guys know I'll make sure that you guys get it. Okay. So if you like this video, like it. If you want to share it, share it. Make sure your friends are on top of this. The Ultra FICO is on the way. Don't believe me? You can Google it, okay? But either way, I'll make sure that I had draft up an article on this as well too. I'll get this information out ASAP. But also as well, got a lot of content on the way. Be sure to subscribe. And as I get more information, I'll make sure you guys get it first. Have a good one.